So I spent 16 years on the field doing Michigan games as a sideline reporter. Is it true that over the years, trash talk has escalated? Yep. Is it true that at the end of the Michigan State game, there is more taunting than in other games and other rivalries? Yep, it is. I have been up and down that tunnel, Gator, though, so many times. And at first, I was, the first few experiences of game ends, walking up the tunnel, and both teams will be in there. I was like, okay, so this is cordial. This is no big deal. And sometimes walking up that tunnel, there is trash talk. But I'd never seen an incident. And it's usually right after the game that I head up that tunnel and I do 3 or 4 questions for a player on the field and then headed up that tunnel. And I saw Michigan and Michigan State go up that tunnel in the past. Sometimes the Spartans won, sometimes the Wolverines won. Sometimes there was jawing, sometimes there wasn't. Saw Michigan and Ohio State, Michigan and Notre Dame. I saw a lot of teams that it would play heated contests, walk up that tunnel, sometimes together. If a team was on the field celebrating, they wouldn't. It would be just the visiting team.
Right.
I'd do the 3 interviews, and you'd make your way up to get set up for post game. And sometimes there's stragglers in there. I mean, it's not unusual for there to be both teams in the tunnel after a big game. What's weird is in the last 2 games, since it's become the Lloyd Carr tunnel, there have been incidents. And at halftime, I probably went up at halftime.
It's Lloyd's fault.
Yeah, 50% of the time, because you might have to go to the bathroom or grab a bottle of water from the media room or whatever it is, which is where the incident took place. People thought it took place
in the locker room.
It was not in the locker room.
They didn't get to the locker room.
There's a hallway as you go up that tunnel and get to the top. Spartan locker room, the visiting locker room's on the left, and the home locker room's on the right. And just before the visiting locker room, there's a tunnel that leads off to the media room, which is where that happened. And so, yeah, I've seen the trash talk. I've seen the taunting after games. And it's just a shame because I don't know what was different this time around. Again, we don't know what was said or done prior to what was caught on video. And if that comes out, it might change people's perspective. But at the end of the day, it felt like what happened wasn't, I've seen it so many times in this rivalry. It didn't seem unusual until somebody or something snapped.
No, I mean, for me, it was number one disappointment is you don't react to anything. You had done such a good job for 60 minutes. And then as soon as the final whistle blew, it looked like all emotions were let out. Like we kept it in all game long. And then game strike zeros and automatically the 2 teams start jawing at each other, pushing and shoving. The Michigan players walked right up to the Spartan players, were taunting. Michigan State players were pushing Michigan players. And, I mean, immediately after the game was over with. So you knew there was an issue, right? Because there's all that milling around and all that. And during all that time, I can't believe that there wasn't some security line that would cut off at the tunnel because I was watching at halftime to see what was going to happen at halftime, right? Mm-hmm. And what happened was they made sure that Michigan State would go up in a tunnel first. Wait for it. I saw people, whether it were the striped officials or the security, whoever it was, people holding their hands out and saying, "Hold on, you can't go up there yet. You can't go up there yet. We got to let this team go first." Okay, now you can go because Michigan State already in the tunnel. Why the hell that wasn't installed at the end of the game is beyond me, because it was another way that you would have stopped any of this from happening. Is that then you wouldn't have had Mick Burrow going up the side there and entering the tunnel. It would never have happened in the first place.
Which it isn't unusual though for both teams to be in there.
Fair enough, but Doug, my point is that what happened at halftime when you make sure that it doesn't happen. Why wouldn't you make sure now that you know it's a volatile situation?
Here's why.
And you did nothing.
Here's why. They that you talked about is the officials. When the game ended, 4 or 5 of the officials ran up the tunnel, even though there was a melee going. A few of them stayed. It wasn't a melee. It was some pushing and shoving. A few of them stayed there. Game officials get out of there.
Right. So
which is something that, again, if we start looking at all the things that could have kept this from happening, One of them is, should officials wait to make sure that nothing is getting out of hand? Because if you watch the replay, 4 or 5 of the officials are gone.
Well, how about
2 or 3 of them are staying there. Yeah, I mean, security.
that's easy enough. But first and foremost, don't react.
No,
don't. And I don't want that to be lost on what I'm saying here. Now people are going to say you're making excuses for what happening. No, I'm not making any excuses for what happened. It never should have happened because Michigan State should have ignored it. That being said, there are other factors that go into it that you cannot ignore. How about just celebrate with your team on the field? Go grab Paul, run around the field with Paul. They're already in the corner with the student section. And to Michigan's credit, most of the players were, but not all of them were. And clearly one guy was not.